What does it all mean, legally speaking, as far as this Eric Harris case is concerned? To help us better understand that, we go to one of the best and the brightest. He's been honored as one of the best lawyers in America, the oldest and most respected peer review publication in the legal profession. Attorney Gerald Thurswell is a highly regarded expert in medical malpractice, birth injury, and auto accident litigation. He has obtained numerous multi-million-dollar jury verdicts and settlements for injured people in courts throughout Michigan and other states. Good afternoon, Counselor.
Good afternoon, Mildred. How are you today?
I'm good. Well, Attorney Thurswell, here we go again. It seems to be, I don't know what's the accurate description in terms of the volume of these cases that are making their way to the front of the news, which is a good thing. What are the legal issues here in the Eric Harris case?
Well, this is absolutely amazing. I have never, in my 40-some years of practicing law, ever seen anything like this. They take this man Bates, who is a multi-millionaire insurance executive, and they let him go with the Violent Crime Task Force on an undercover job. What in the world are you taking a reserve police officer with weapons on a undercover job working with the Violent Crimes Task Force? That is outrageous. That's absolutely outrageous. And then his conduct, he made a mistake, they say. He took his gun and shot this man in the back instead of his taser. He doesn't know the difference between a taser gun and a gun. That's incredible. Number one, he never, ever should have been put in that position. Never. The Violent Crime Task Force undercover job for an insurance executive, that's reprehensible. That's outrageous. It's crazy. And then for the police department to come to his defense and say this was an accident, this was a mistake. The mistake was the sheriff's department, allowing him to go on this task force, this undercover job. That was the mistake. That was gross negligence on the sheriff's department. But apparently, based on my reading, this insurance executive had taken the sheriff and different people in his department on trips to the Bahamas, had bought all kinds of equipment for the sheriff's department, and because of his gifts, he was apparently getting a high. They're giving this man a high. Look, you can go with our officers on a Violent Crime Task Force undercover job. Crazy. Isn't this crazy?
It's incredible. This is just incredible.
And then to call it a mistake? He panicked? What do you mean he panicked? This man was on the ground, face down. Officers were on him. And he pulls a gun and shoots him in the back. And then they say this is a mistake. He panicked. You should have officers that are trained to be there, not an insurance executive who's a reserve officer to put him in this position. Maybe I would panic. Maybe you would panic. But we're not put in these positions. We're not given guns in these positions. So horrible, absolutely horrible.
It certainly is. And I don't know guns, and I don't know tasers. I would expect that a gun, I don't know, maybe I'm just wishing, that a gun would be heavier than a taser. I don't know. I've not had the privilege, unfortunately, to talk with a police officer about the weight of each, but the fact that you have an individual who can't tell the difference between the two.
You shouldn't have him there.
I agree.
You shouldn't have him there. They were going after this guy because apparently he was selling guns and drugs. This is a heavy-duty undercover job, and they're letting him go along for the ride. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And now they charge him with this manslaughter. It's got the maximum penalty of 4 years. It's 4 years in Oklahoma under the charge.
4
because it was
years?
An accident. I think those charges should be increased.
That's incredible. 439 in the Motor City. 568-1200 is our number. Attorney Gerald Thurswell, my guest, helping us make some sense legally. You can't make any sense out of this situation. Let me just say that. But helping us to understand what the legal issues are now that Eric Harris has been killed by this insurance executive who was, what do you call the cops? Not reservation.
They were reserve. He was
reserve officer who had not reportedly completed the process that you have to go through to become a reserve officer. Flo in East Point, thanks for calling. What's your comment or question or comment for Attorney Thurswell?
How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, I was calling because, in the Harris shooting that you all talking about, when they had the guy on the ground, the undercover police officer, I guess they were undercover, that was on top of him and everything.
Yes.
He kept saying, he shot me, and then he told the police that he couldn't breathe.
Well, Flo, we've heard that over and over again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sweetie.
What I'm
saying is we did hear that. What's your comment about it?
I think it's terrible.
That they joked about his declaration that he could not breathe.
Yeah, he said he couldn't breathe, and he told him "F your breathing."
Right.
I think that was terrible. And the officer, well, he wasn't an officer. He was
the reserve
officer.
Mm-hmm.
Why was he even on? He should have been at a desk inside the police station. Well, he was 73 years old. What is he out there for? I mean, I ain't trying to say 73-year-olds can't work, but he paid his way on there.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's terrible. He should have been at a desk, or take him out there to the prison and let him work out there.
All right, my dear. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Cynthia in Detroit, what's your comment or question? Stay with us, Detroit. We'll be right back with more legal conversation with attorney Gerald Thurswell of the Thurswell Law Firm.
This is the Mildred Gaddis Show on News Talk AM 1200 and 99.9 FM WCHB.
Slaughter in the Tulsa shooting turned himself in. 73-year-old Robert Bates says he accidentally pulled a gun instead of his taser during a sting operation and killed suspect Eric Harris. This is the video of the moment it happened.
Harris's attorney says that Bates didn't have enough training and shouldn't have even been taking part in the sting operation in the first place. A lot of accusations going back and forth. Ed Lavendera is live in Tulsa where all of this happened. Ed, Harris's attorney is making some strong claims saying that Bates essentially bought himself the chance to play cop through campaign donations and through other financial support for the sheriff's office. We just saw him turning himself in. What are you hearing on the ground?
Well, as we saw here just a few minutes ago, Robert Bates did arrive here at the sheriff's office in Tulsa to turn himself in. They are in the process of doing that as we speak. He's being charged with second-degree manslaughter, which faces punishment of up to 4 years. But as you mentioned, lots of questions swirling around his involvement in this undercover sting operation and what put him there. Sheriff's officials insist that Bates was not part of the front line of deputies that were working that operation, that he was supposed to be in the back in a support role, and it wasn't until Eric Harris started running that Bates was thrust into more of a front line position. But the family the attorney for the family of Eric Harris.
It's 4:47 in the Motor City. Joining me to help us understand what the legal issues are concerning the killing of Eric Harris by the 73-year-old reserve police officer is attorney Gerald Thurswell, who has obtained numerous multi-million-dollar jury verdicts and settlements for injured people in courts throughout the state and other states as well. He represents the family of Renisha McBride. the young lady who was killed on the porch of the man in Dearborn, Mackenzie Cochran, who was choked to death by a security guard at Northland Mall. He's also represented Malice Green family, the family of Malice Green. The number to the Thurswell law firm is 1-866-354-5544. That's 1-866-354-5544. Now, Attorney Thurswell, did you hear the reporter say that the police department said to him that once Mr. Harris started running, the reserve officer was thrust into the front line position? Did you hear that?
Yes, I heard that. I think it's bullshit. Excuse the expression, it's bullshit. He shot him in the back when he was on the ground.
Yes.
He shot him in the back when he was on the ground, and then the officers who were on him, according to the accounts, one officer put a knee in his back after he was already shot. Then they handcuffed him. He says he can't breathe. Very similar to the case we have against the security guards at Northland, where Mackenzie Cochran kept saying, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." This man is saying, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe," and they tell him, "Oh, you effing ran. Oh, you effing can't breathe." I mean, guy's shot. He's shot. Don't they have a duty then to try to render first aid, try to save his life? He was on the ground and shot in the back.
Absolutely.
This reserve officer was thrust into this. He wasn't thrust into it. They should have had regular police officers there. He shouldn't even have been at the scene. What was he doing at the scene with a gun? He shouldn't be there. One of your callers, a very, very intelligent person, said, "Why didn't they give him a desk job? Let him drive around and give traffic tickets, parking tickets or something." This was an undercover sting operation. They thought the guy had, or apparently he was selling a gun, and he had drugs. This is major league kind of stuff. You don't put a reserve officer in a major violent crime situation like this. You just don't do it.
I've got to ask you this, because this has been on my mind for a while. Since this man, who seems to have bought his way into a frontline position in the police department, is you described to us, he's a multi-million-dollar insurance executive. So, you're the attorney representing Eric Harris's family. Do you sue him individually in addition to the police department? Who do you go after in a situation?
Oh, no, you would do both.
Okay.
You would do both. You really don't need the police department because he's collectible enough, apparently with his millions of dollars, but you would sue both. The police, it was the sheriff's department. It wasn't the Tulsa police department, it was the sheriff's department, the Tulsa sheriff's department. It was that department that put him in this position. As one of your callers or you stated, he was untrained. They put him in a position where a situation like this could and did occur. They may have needed his assistance. They may have needed him to taser him, yes. But somebody who's experienced and understands these situations would pull out the taser and not the gun. He's down on the ground and you shoot him in the back.
Judy in Redford.
I can't believe it.
Judy in Redford, thanks for checking in. You're on the air.
A quick comment and then a question. Comment being, first of all, we all should be outraged by this. And now with the technology that we have, these instances, I don't believe it's an anomaly. I think they've been going on all along, but technology brings it to the forefront. My question to the attorneys, I know the charge is manslaughter. What other charges can be brought? Because 4 years, that isn't justifiable for taking someone's life. Thanks, and I'll hang up.
Well, interestingly enough, and I don't know the law in Oklahoma, and every state has a different law, but Bates, the reserve officer, was charged with second-degree manslaughter involving culpable negligence. And I think the culpable negligence takes it out of the same category as manslaughter. If it was just manslaughter, the penalty could be up to like 10 years or 12 years. But when they put in culpable negligence, they're saying like, well, he was negligent He was more than negligent in this case. He was grossly negligent. Grossly negligent. He pulled that trigger. He pulled the trigger, and he knew that that gun would discharge and that gun could kill, and that's exactly what happened. He wasn't negligent.
Roland, thanks for checking in. You're on the air with Attorney Gerald Thurswell.
Good afternoon, Mildred.
Hi.
And your guests. I feel so dumb. I feel dumb because it's like, what am I doing that does not help stop this kind of madness that, especially black men are experiencing in America? I can't believe, thanks for this story. Thanks for staying on the front lines with this, Mildred. I didn't know the background story of this latest incident. And by the way, these incidents are happening as we speak. The attorney probably knows, and they never make the light of day. But you have someone who actually paid to become a police officer or to act as a police officer. It's the most. Can the Justice Department stop these kind of programs? That's my question to the attorney. There's probably programs like this out there all over the place where somebody wants to be a police officer, a reserve police officer. They're, doing all these wonderful things for these small departments. Can't the Justice Department, first step, close these kind of programs down?
No, I think it's a state issue. It's a state issue. It's not a federal issue. I
mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but the U.S. Department of Justice.
People have to be trained, and I think we spoke recently about another case in the last month or so. When somebody is given a gun, they're going to be put into positions of high stress, tremendous amount of stress, and they have to make good judgments. And shouldn't these people, in addition to knowing how to shoot a gun, knowing how to take somebody down, knowing how to put handcuffs on somebody, shouldn't these people undergo psychological testing and maybe yearly or every 2 years to see where they're at so that they can handle the stress that they're under? They're under a tremendous amount of stress. I don't think I want to be a police officer and be under this stress, but if you're going to give somebody a gun, you want to make them responsible. And they have to be able to handle stress. They have to be able to handle problems like this. They have to be able to handle things verbally as opposed to taking a gun and killing somebody. In our office, in addition to the cases that we handle where people die, we handle cases where people are beat up and they're crippled or they're blind. Death is the ultimate injury. But we handle cases where the injury is less, but still very, very serious.
And it changes the quality of the lives of the individuals. Diane, thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you, Mildred and Attorney Thurswell? I want to ask a question. I don't know if you guys noticed that in these incidents, the police officers have their knee, and this guy had it on his face, their knee in his face. I'm trying to figure out what is that? Is that protocol where they can put their knees and their backs and then this guy was shot and then you're putting that kind of pressure and he's been shot? But I just want to ask Attorney Thurswell about that. If you guys look at the video, I don't know who it is, has their knee on his face.
It's very similar to our Mackenzie Cochran case against the security guards at Northland, where they put the knee in the back. There's ways to take down somebody so that you get their arms behind their back and then you handcuff them. You don't have to hold them down with your knee on the back. There are ways to bring somebody down. And if you're trained, you know how to do it. And if you're not trained, then you do whatever appears to be natural to you. In the Mackenzie Cochran case, they had one of the security guards with his knee on his back. They were sitting on him until he couldn't breathe anymore, crying out, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And ultimately, he died. He was like suffocated. So there are ways to bring people down, but these people have to be trained. They have to be trained.
William in Westland, thanks for checking in. You're on the air.
How you doing, Mildred?
Great, thank you.
Good. To the attorney, it seems to me, not only with this situation that we're talking about, but even with the Eric Garner case, what is the deal when you have multiple officers on a scene and they're trying to handle a situation and you don't have supervisors there to take control? That was the problem. They should have had a supervisor there to take control, and that reserve, he should, like you said, he shouldn't have been there. I don't get it. I mean, what
it's hard to believe, isn't it? It's hard to believe what happened in this case and in the other cases that we've discussed on this show before, and all the hundreds of people who have been beaten and maimed and killed across the country. I mean, how many times does this happen and there is no video and we never, ever hear about it? Never hear about it. And the officer gets away with crippling somebody, killing somebody. It's I saw something on TV just recently. Someone said everybody should keep their cell phones charged so in case there's an incident they can videotape it and make sure that justice occurs. That's pretty sad, isn't it?
It really, really is. And I was watching a show, excuse me, and I can't remember what the name of the show was. And I don't know if it was it wasn't a public service announcement. Where in this show, they showed two fathers having the conversation with their sons about police. And the white father was telling his son, and these boys were about 8 to 9 years old. They were not older kids. And the white father was telling his son about how the police officer is his friend. And they were having just wonderful fun with it in a soft and loving way. And the other conversation was the black father having the conversation with his son, and he was telling this kid how he's supposed to act and respond. And being the age that the child was, he could not understand. It was almost as if that father was ejecting the innocence out of that 8 or 9 year old kid. That which sort of energized some fear inside the child. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's not no sanity there whatsoever. I want to give our listeners the number to the Thurswell Law Firm again. It is 1-866-354-5544. That's 1-866-354-5544. Attorney Thurswell, what do you want to leave our listeners with today?
Oh my God. My God, this is I just wish that I wasn't on your show, and I wish that these things never occurred, and I wish that the officers would just be better trained, and you don't put incompetent people with a gun in a situation like this. This person was totally incompetent. I have no idea what was going through his mind. This was so horrible. Someone said, who would you sue? Maybe you said, God, the department is as guilty as the guy who shot the gun. You put him in a position, he panicked or whatever, and he killed somebody. The guy probably should go to jail if the undercover sting was true, but the guy should not have been executed. And in so many words, he was executed right there at the scene. That's horrible.
Absolutely. All right, Counselor, thank you for helping us understand this tragedy.
Have a good day.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.